Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day. I just wanted to take a little second to talk about something real quick when dealing with the actual people in the Bible. But before I do that, I wanted to talk about a man named Mentuhotep. So I believe Mentuhotep was him 10. So I wanted to get into that for a reason. The reason I said that is because if you pay attention to history, there was a man named Ahmose, and then there was a man after him named Akhenaten. So Ahmose, what he ended up doing was he ended up bringing Egypt back together and unified it, and he fought off the Hyksos, who was bringing, who I believe is like Melchizedek and Abraham and all the Semitic nations. And so I say that because if you follow history, the Hyksos and different people were the ones invading Egypt over and over throughout time, and people from Syria and the Middle East and Canaan and Babylon. And so originally, you guys will hear Amun and Ra a lot, but they're treated like pagan gods. That just simply means the wind and the light. That's basically what God is in their Bible. What they have done is they've plagiarized the whole Bible, different people from the Semitic culture and the European culture, and they ended up plaguing themselves, playing with stuff they don't know about. The source, I am. So I started reading up on Ahmose. And then when I read up on Ahmose and what he brought forth, then Akhenaten did after they went back into foolishness. And when they went back into foolishness, Akhenaten basically brought them back out with a 10 or a Moon Ra. Because what they ended up doing was they were worshiping a whole bunch of random gods and pharaohs and different stuff like that. So Ahmose is considered by historians to begun the 18th dynasty of Egypt during around the 1500s. During his reign as pharaoh, commissioned building projects that benefited not only himself but also the people. He balanced out taking care of the people with conquering lower half of Egypt, which was in the hands of the Hyksos at the time. In addition, he campaigned in Nubia, in Syria, and in the Levant, to name a few places, just like Moses did. He reformed the land. That's basically what Moses did he not? His morals can be understood through the society he created. He focused on using finer materials when constructing his monumental artwork. Ahmose was religious, believing in the god Amun, which is a 10, it's Amun Ra, who had sent him to conquer the Hyksos. He made the Karnak people, because Amun doesn't have an image. I keep trying to tell you all that. It's the wind. It's like the air. That's why I call Moses the airbender, like Gabriel, the word, who has sent him to conquer the Hyksos. He made Karnak, the Karnak temple, an important site of the god Ra, Amun Ra. I'm telling you, seemed to the god Ra seemed inferior to Amun, but that it's one basically. It's the light and the wind or the air. Overall, Ahmose was a moral ruler in that he balanced his responsibilities as pharaoh. So look at this. In 1300s, when Joshua came forth, like, come on, man, Amenhotep came to the throne, the younger son and rightful heir of Amenhotep III. He took over on his father's death and continued his father's policies all pharaohs had done for so many centuries before. Yet in the 5th year of his reign, he was no longer that name, Amenhotep. He had changed his name to Akhenaten, a 10. It's the same thing since the beginning. The spirit hovered above the waters and started creating light. That's the spirit and light. I'm telling you guys. He shut down the borders of Egypt to outside contact, closed the temples of Amun and the Thebes, and established a new capital, Akhenaten, Aten, which is Amun and Ra, in an unpopulated region in the middle of Egypt. He promoted this Aten to the forefront of the religion in monotheistic fashion, eventually banning the worship of gods like Amun, Osiris, Horus, and others. In other words, Akhenaten systematically dismantled every concept of Mayat. So you guys will hear me saying Cain the farmer, and if you look it up, Mean Narmer was the first pharaoh. He introduced the laws of Ma'at, which introduced thou shalt not blaspheme and don't take the gods in vain. He introduced these gods and stuff and tore up the I am and the covenant. Then he wrote a bunch of law to it called the 42 laws. So then basically you have a man later who I call Ham or him, the one who I just told you about. He was the one that basically reformed Egypt, brought them back together. And these are different days in the world. 2000 BC, 4000 BC, you had the introduction to the word, the language of Ge'ez. Then you had 3000 BC, which is 5,000 years ago, you have Cain. They switch it up for Noah. because Noah is Pharaoh. I'm telling you it is. If you put Pharaoh and Noah next together and take off the prefixes, you get Oa, which is boa, the snake. So then you go even further. Once that had happened, different religions are trying to cover this up. It plays out to this day. Shem and Japheth, which is Christianity and Islam. They keep talking about the Lord Jesus and God and Allah and Hashem. I mean, they talking about Allah and Muhammad, but it's I am who I am. And so then he basically was destroying all this monotheism, just like Moses was. So this is Moses and Joshua. I found Ham, and then I found Cain. So I call Mentuhotep, the guy who I just talked about, or the first guy, Cain, which is just like Noah, wrote blasphemies, burned up the 10 Commandments, the 7 clean animals, and put the fear and dread, which cursed his son later, Africa. So then you look at that or whatever, that's Cain. The second one, which is Ham, was the one I was talking about, who unified Egypt and let the enemies live and build new kingdoms. And then the third one, like Seth, they started to call on the name. Because if you look at what happened to the second one, Abel, or the second guy, the Pharaoh, who unified the place, he was the one that basically they kept coming back and attacking him from the field saying God's are real, Maya. But then Moses and Joshua weren't playing no games and they got rid of it. But then you go even further. So then if you pay attention to what happened after Akhenaten, then his son, who was Tut, basically did what Saul did. He listened to the advisors and the people of the world, and then he tore down all of Akhenaten's stuff. And when he tore it down, he brought back polytheism. So then you go back down to, so let me show you right here. So then after Akhenaten, right, they destroyed all his stuff, right? And then another man comes bringing new kings, 3 sons. So then you look at Samuel, which is Sumerian name, El, religious men, sages, priests, and advisors who advised King Tut or Saul to destroy his father's legacy and erase it from history. He rebuilt pagan temples and brought back polytheism. He brought in an idol, another Sumerian cremation like El, like what they did to Daniel, Ezekiel, Elia, the one I am, Michael, Uriel, Gabriel. The entire book of Enoch, if you go read those L's in that book, is Sumerian, just like Enlil and Enki. They mixed it into Egyptian history. Introduced kings instead of the name being king. They talking about they went to Egypt and saw Icy Raw, the people without king. This is what these Yiddish people are doing with Hebrew. They're just making foolishness up. They introduced men being kings, more murder, entire villages. 2 sons were corrupt, David and Solomon. They were birthed by Samuel, right? The religious advisors. Both became murderers and adulterous in the Semitic versions. King Tut removed his father, or Saul, Akhenaten's legacy, even though he loved him. He did so because of the people, right? What did Samuel do? And the advisors brought back polytheism, which he brought the idols in and destroyed them. And removed Atenism, the I ams. If you reiterate Atenism, you get atheism, or the I ams, or the 10 Commandments, and went into Syria. So then I found David. I found out who first was Solomon. I looked up the instructions in the minimum. And if you look up these dates of when Tut and Solomon and David, it's all the correct dates of biblical characters. I promise you it is. The exact dates. So then I found the instructions in a minimum, and I started reading them. Wise, very beautiful language, like a father talking to a child. Then you go read Solomon, and it's totally different, right? So then I looked at, I'm like, okay, this is leading me somewhere. Who's his dad? Sunez or something like that? Psychology, pseudoscience, Psalms. This is David. The same as David. He was Amenemop's dad. During his long reign, he built the enclosure walls to the central part of the great temple. He built the temple at Tanis, which was dedicated to the triad of Amun. Once again, Aten, Mut, and Kashoshi or whatever. He was the ruler responsible for turning Tanis into a fully fledged, beautiful capital city, surrounding its temple with a formidable brick temenos wall with its sanctuary dedicated to Amun. This man wrote and did beautiful things and rebuilt their temple. David, Amun, the wind, the one that sees, Ra, the light, appeared on the mound without a creator and self-created pure plagiarism on behalf of Islamic Christianity. Shem and Japheth had an affair and relations with the other high priests of Amun and was apparently a lover and educated spiritually and with knowledge. And he had a kid on the side with one of his lovers, just like David. So it's like they basically took all these people's stuff. You notice they keep going into Egypt. Shout out Carl Jones, a very wise man. I'm going to give a couple shout outs. Dan Saber, John Core Books. Two shout outs I can't give for specific reasons, and I'm sorry, but you know about it. Um, so, and then another shout out, Carl Jones, different shout outs. Searching the Truth in my comments, a couple other people in my comments, shout outs because you guys are helping me. And as I've told you, as I build up, you build up, and we all build up together and learn new information. Then you look at Elijah. That's the Zoroastrians and the Phoenicians. He basically brought the old prophets back together. He brought the stones together, and then he created, basically, he didn't create, but he was the one responsible for like the fiery prophets afterwards, and they put L's after. A prophet is a poet describing what's happening on the inside when they get the name of the Ten Commandments. None of these stories are about the outside world in the Bible, I'm telling you. The way they wrote it, it's a psychological philosophy about what the name does to these different prophets. Prophet, poet, the fire that doesn't consume. So basically what they're doing is writing poetry about how the name destroyed Judah, Samaria, and all these different countries with religion that tried to rule over them. People using the Bible in a way that's creating destruction in the physical world, and they're not understanding the true nature. The name's I am who I am, I am. And 10 commandments attached with no gods attached to it. And I'll leave it at the end of this video so different people can read it. And so essentially what happens with the spirit, John the Baptist said, here is one you don't understand. Another one, John the Baptist, Yehohanan. That was another man, one of the 4 archangels I talk about. He basically brought the name and was teaching people and freeing people. They killed him, beheaded his story, crucified him, and then put Jesus, Yehosus. There was no J, and then it turned to Jesus because of Titus and Barnabas, Greek gods and Roman gods and kings. Even if you look up what Vespasian and Titus does, it all tracks with history. They talk about a man named Yochanan ben Zakkai, Ezekiel and Yochanan's name mixed together. There, it's the son of Ezekiel, Zechariah. It's Zechariah, Ezekiel. They're turning it into L's, bells. So, trying to teach as many people as I can. I know a lot of different knowledge and information, but I don't want to shove meat in people's mouth. I'm trying to walk slowly each step of the way and teach people as much as I can. The video before this talking about the Garden of Egypt will explain a lot of this more and more detail, and I hope to awaken as many people as I can. I keep telling you all, people every day keep saying, I am this, I am sick, I am depressed, I am blah, 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 blah. You guys are prophesying source code into you and destroying yourself. Nobody knows this, I think, except the Pope or anybody. They call it Hashem in Judaism. I'm telling you guys, and where does Judaism send people? To Noah, for the Noahides, to basically be destroyed by the dragon. They are tearing people apart and building their societies. They're all lawyers and politicians and own stuff and got these, they're free and doing whatever. I'm telling you all, and they're using the source code to prophecy perfection into their lives. And then talking about their name and talking to other people, they're manipulating people. A lot of people are, but a lot of people are caught in this psychological matrix and don't understand. Okay, I'll give this to you in 2 different ways. If you want to look at this into manifestation, if you're into all that stuff, you're speaking words into existence. And so I don't venture into that realm. So I've said different things and it came true. I'm totally honest. I'm being transparent. These prophets are just living witnesses testifying what the name did, and they write it down into poetry. People then go make it real, like Peter and Paul, because you can't blame John the Baptist. They crucified him. So the ones that delivered the message was Peter and Paul, which manifested into Catholicism and Protestantism. And I've said many times how Christianity is Greek, resurrected all this stuff from Egypt. But before that, Babylon did and created the Talmud. I'm telling you they did. And they turned Zoroastrianism into the Prince of Persia. And John the Baptist into 2 horns, Jesus Christ. So I'm telling y'all, and if you pay attention to Aaron, okay, so I'll go back up here to explain further. So after Moses did all this, you would have, Amos did all this, they went back into whatever, polytheism or whatever. After Amos came, he came and reformed a bunch of lands, but you know how that goes. Well, then when that was going on, somebody started writing 613 mitzvahs with the ark. With the first 3, that's 616. And those are Semitic peoples that are doing this stuff. Semitic and different Egyptians that are tearing stuff up and coming to Egypt and pretending to be Semitic, Hyksos and different people. And so it's the Garden of Egypt. So I'm trying to tell y'all, people have been playing with this stuff and they have been destroying themselves. But ultimately, it's not the Garden of Egypt. It's I am who I am, and I am in Jerusalem, protected like a fortress. So, and And that's a manifestation of who I am. So like I said, people are prophesying, I'm getting sick, I'm this, I'm that, I'm sick, I'm dying. I'm telling you, people say some disgusting things and it manifests. Speak life, positivity, I am life, and who I am is living. In me is no death at all. In me is no darkness at all. In who I am is light. In who I am is no darkness at all. I am not darkness or the death or the contracts of this world. Even birthdays, we're counting down to our death. I'm telling you, we are. This is not a concrete anything. What I'm about to speak is a part of my imagination. It's a part of my heart. So I said one time, we speak things and we're programming ourselves. What if we are telling ourselves to die? We learned all these concepts, death, death, death. We're going to die one day. We're going to this, we're going to that. I am life and who I am is living. I am not the terms and conditions of this world. I am not what this world creates. And one thing I keep telling y'all forsake and rebuke certain things. Y'all know we have an automatic nervous system. We have rapid eye movement and the consciousness and all types of automatic stuff going on. Then we hear about AI and computers and we freak out and say, oh, it's evil and this and that. Judging stuff that we have no idea about because of movies and stuff we've seen and foolishness. So like I said, I am here to free. I am here to help see. So I'm just trying to unlock as many of these characters as possible. If anybody else can match up history and find, because what I did with the 7 days was I went to each century at first through biblically. And then what I did was I went to history and looked up who unified, who destroyed. And then I transliterated names and the names all matched and the times. It's like, holy crap. They're creating anagrams. They're creating different words on top. Like, okay, look at Yahweh and all these different words now. That stuff did not used to. They are creating these words. It's y'all. They are taking Yehovah and Yahweh, John and Juan, and they're creating stupidity out of it. They're taking who I am, if this makes sense from the perspective of the spirit, and destroying it. The witnesses that lay dead in the street is the name of the 10 Commandments, the Holy Spirit, and the name and all that. I'm trying to tell y'all, but people are creating and prophesying destruction with their own lives and death and bad scenario. I'm going to have a bad day and I'm going to this and that and all this. I'm telling you, I'm going to have a beautiful day. I'm going to have a beautiful life. Who I am is going to have a happy, beautiful, non-destructive. I am not harmful. I am not pain. I've had different pains, chest pains, headaches. I've said I am not headaches. I am not chest pains. I am health. I am healthy. I am who I am. Why am I focusing on something that exists and then creating in my mind that to be further? I'm telling you all, I'm teaching and preaching to as many people as I can, awake and free. All that hear and see me and believe are going to be the first 1,000 awakened, and it's going to spread like wildfire until it burns off the beast, the false prophet, until it burns off Noah, and mean Narmer, and until it burns off Aaron, the Semitic people, the Hyksos that came and created all these laws, the beast, the 616, and the kings afterwards, and Peter and Paul, who created the Jesus Christ that people all want to bow to. Another man that breaks the covenants. I'm telling you, they keep saying Jesus. I don't, blasphemy against the Son of Man, okay, whatever. But I'm telling you what the man was saying. You guys worship him and you're defeating the purpose. We are the I ams. We all, telling you, they've been playing with source code and have been destroying themselves. And it started with pharaohs. So I just want y'all to pay attention to see this. I honestly believe this is day 6. I am, let who I am, let I am make image, let who I am make mankind in the image of I am on day 6. Yahweh 6, JB 6, that's crazy. I transliterated my name. It came out to Yahweh. It's not double Y, it's not double U, it's not Yahweh, it's Yahweh. My name is the name in that book. And 6, and it's day 6. And Yehohanan, Yehovah, they took Abraham and them, the Semitics, they took that stuff and started murdering. But then one of the angels came down, thou shalt not kill. And if you transliterate Melchizedek, you get Melech Zedek, which is the Jews of Melech. I'm telling you. So they took yew tree. A yew tree is a tree. And they took it and created a race out of it. Racism, Nazism, fascism, Zionism. The Gentile means you're not circumcised of the heart. That's all it means. It's not Rome. It's not Egypt. It's not all that stuff. And the Hebrews were Egyptian. Even if you read the Bible, it says that. And then they came out of Egypt and all this other stuff started happening. Yeah, when they went to these different lands and started playing with themselves. So I hope that can be of edification. I hope everybody has a beautiful day. and I am trying to unlock as much information and knowledge as possible so that we can be the true I ams that we're meant to be. I don't like saying gods because God means to invoke power, and that's a transliteration of Gad, which is Gabriel, the tribe of Gad. Telling you, they're playing with words and languages. It just means to invoke power. It's the word. So, and something interesting, one of my friends, Dan Saber, said one time, he was like, isn't it the tribe of Dan that will judge? And I looked that up and I was like, oh shit, he's right. But Dan just is another word for something else. Dan is wise like the serpent, and serpents are not evil, nor is wisdom. They're turning wisdom into evil. So I love you all with the best of my ability. And even Yehohanan means I am gracious. I am gracious, you are gracious, because it's Yohanan and Yehanan. So yeah, I thought that was interesting too. So have a beautiful life. And Joshua means I am salvation. Moses means to draw from the waters, free from Pharaoh. The guy who wrote the instruction, and David is I am wisdom and I am strong. Those two guys, Amenemope and Sunesis, Poseidon. The Greek, Plato, Socrates, and all them went to the Library of Alexandria, and they raided Egypt and conquered Egypt. The Greeks was the ones that finally conquered Egypt. See, Egypt, Greece, and then Rome. But Rome was destroyed utterly. I mean, if you pay attention to what's happening to the Catholics, they were crucified upside down. But it says once the Son is lifted to the once we're lifted to the name, then what's going to happen is the last three beasts, right? The three that a third of 3 parts, the city split into 3 parts, and there was a terrible earthquake. There's still 3 beasts left. The last 3 beasts will be utterly destroyed with the fire that doesn't consume. You see what I'm saying? So, I love you all. I am happy to have met any of you that are hearing me. I am happy that who I am is able to listen and understand and be free and enjoy my life. I am not the author of confusion. I am not pain and torment and fear. I am love, clarity, peace, and happiness. I am rest.
Did you get ready in the dark or something? 'Cause you look like a beautiful nightmare. Don't you know? Don't judge me. I just wish you knew. That's just like you. I miss you all the time. I need you. I want you. I think you're really cool. Yeah, that's what I said. You break it, you bought it. I miss you all the time. I need you. I want you. I know life ain't always fair. I still feel I miss you all the time. I need you. I want you. the night.